Today, U.S. law enforcement reaches a settlement with Binance, the SEC sues Kraken for allegedly running an unregistered securities exchange, and Kevin Worth, the CEO of CoinDesk, breaks down what to expect from the crypto media company following its acquisition. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Talia Kaplan. Major digital currencies pretty much flat this morning, with Bitcoin and Ether both trading less than 1% lower as of noon Eastern. Now, shortly after noon, Binance's BNB token started tumbling. It's down more than 7% as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern, thanks to some major news for the exchange out of the US. Okay, we have two stories to get to, and we'll start with that Binance news. U.S. law enforcement is gearing up to announce a settlement with the world's largest crypto exchange. Reuters reports that at 3 p.m. Eastern today, multiple agencies, including the DOJ, U.S. Treasury Department, and CFTC, will announce an agreement with Binance over alleged money laundering, sanctions violations, and more. Now, of course, this show publishes at 3 p.m. Eastern, so we'll have much more to bring you tomorrow, but here's what we know so far. Earlier today, a filing in federal court charged Binance with running an unlicensed money transmitting business, conspiracy, and violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, among other things. Bloomberg reported Monday that Binance and prosecutors have worked to strike a deal that would balance enforcing the law and allowing Binance to continue to operate. Binance has reportedly pushed for a deferred prosecution agreement, which would mean charges get filed but aren't prosecuted so long as Binance meets predetermined requirements like paying a fine and submitting to compliance monitoring. We also learned in today's filings that CEO Changpeng Zhao will plead guilty in federal court to violating and causing a financial institution to violate the Bank Secrecy Act, and that he'll step down from his role as CEO. The goal of this deal is to likely avoid the collapse of a crypto exchange that handled $12 billion in trading volume in the past 24 hours alone, according to CoinMarketCap. Binance faced pressure from the SEC for months after the agency sued the crypto company back in June. Now, we'll bring you much more on the settlement with the DOJ in tomorrow's show. And speaking of the SEC, we also need to talk about the lawsuit the agency just filed against Kraken. On Monday, the regulator accused Kraken of operating an unregistered securities exchange. It also claimed that Kraken commingled customer and corporate funds. The SEC says an independent auditor identified the alleged mixing of funds as a significant risk of loss for customers. In the court filing, the SEC also alleged that at times Kraken used bank accounts holding customer funds to pay operational expenses. Now, in a statement to us, a Kraken spokesperson said, "We disagree with the SEC's complaint against Kraken, stand firm in our view that we do not list securities, and plan to vigorously defend our position." Kraken also said there's no clear path to registration, and that for years it has advocated for effective U.S. market regulation that addresses crypto's unique risks. Now, of course, this latest lawsuit from the SEC follows a bunch of enforcement action against crypto companies this year, including Kraken itself, which settled with the agency back in February over staking. Kraken agreed to pay $30 million and shut down its staking-as-a-service program in the U.S. All right, let's follow up on some news we told you about yesterday for our main story. Crypto exchange Bullish bought the crypto news outlet CoinDesk from Digital Currency Group. Tom Farley, the CEO of Bullish, who is also a former president of the New York Stock Exchange, joined Squawk Box this morning to discuss the deal.
In my view, the bull run's already started. I make no promises how long it'll continue or to what extent, but the winners in this next wave will be well-run, trusted companies that are adult, that are compliant. CoinDesk is a great example of that. They are, present company excluded, they are the go-to source for crypto news. They broke the Sam Bankman-Fried story. They are award-winning journalists. They have a conference business that's the longest running, largest gathering for crypto, Consensus. It's May 29th in Austin. And they have an index business that I'm really excited about that already has $25 billion benchmark to it. And I think that there's some real synergies with Bullish, the exchange we run. So yeah, it's a business that's positioned to really do well in a recovery.
This afternoon, I spoke with the CEO of the company acquired by Tom Farley's firm Bullish. Kevin Worth, who runs CoinDesk, explains what the acquisition means for the crypto-focused media company. He also weighs in on the latest developments involving Binance and Kraken and what it means for the crypto industry as a whole. There was a big announcement yesterday. Crypto exchange Bullish said it had acquired CoinDesk from DCG. So what does this acquisition mean for CoinDesk? In a post on X, Bullish noted that CoinDesk will operate as an independent subsidiary and retain editorial independence. So what will change and what steps are you taking to make sure that CoinDesk can operate independently? I understand an editorial committee has been formed and CoinDesk appointed Matt Murray, former editor in charge of the Wall Street Journal, to serve as chair of that committee, correct?
Yes, happy to comment on that. Thanks for the question. So just to step back for a second on why this is so important, not only for CoinDesk, but I think why it's so important for the evolution of crypto and digital assets into the mainstream. The ambition when I started at CoinDesk and supported by Barry Silbert at DCG was that crypto needs a trusted information source. There's a lot of misinformation that goes on in crypto, even in the mainstream media, who doesn't always appreciate all the nuance of crypto. So establishing a editorial brand that could be trusted, that could be counted on, was always part of the calculus from the moment I left Bloomberg to join CoinDesk back in 2017 and was supported. So we've built that DNA, we've built that trust, we built that legacy over the last 7 years. So that was really important part of the conversations with Bullish to carry that forward and to put an extra period at the end of that. We brought on Matt Murray to guide us through the next chapter as well, to ensure that the industry has a trusted editorial resource that it can count on.
Now, Bullish said that it plans to invest in CoinDesk's global expansion and the growth of the company. Specifically, Tom Farley said Bullish will immediately inject capital into several growth initiatives, which will help power the launch of new services, events, and products. What are some of those services and products? What can people expect?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. First of all, for me to hear that, that's a great message, because I've been building CoinDesk over the last 7 years. Started with about 10 people, small little operation and a WeWork. And so, if you look at CoinDesk today, 7 years later, we are 3 divisions. We are a media division, full-scale digital media division, where we report the news. We have podcasts, we have video. We are a event division, so we put on a very large annual festival called Consensus. Last year attracted 15,000 people from around the world to Austin, Texas. We will do that again in 2024, starting on May 29th. And then we also have a indices business. Think about, for your viewers, like the S&P is the benchmark index for equities. CoinDesk Indices has benchmark products that will be the standard for this new digital asset class. So we are in 3 different divisions, have grown that company from a small blog with 10 people. Last year, we did about 50 million in revenue. So what I'm really excited about for this next phase of CoinDesk's growth and the intent of Tom and Bullish to help us grow is to invest into each of these businesses. So we have specific plans for each of them. And I guess the thesis, the common theme between all of them is going more global. So crypto and digital assets is by nature a global business. We have a real opportunity to take our franchise, which is a very strong brand, and put some more resources into our global operations.
Now, in a statement reacting to the deal, you noted that there is renewed momentum in the crypto economy. But of course, we are still hearing about crypto companies facing legal action here in the US. In fact, the SEC sued Kraken yesterday, alleging that the crypto exchange operates as an unregistered broker. Kraken now joins Coinbase and Binance as targets of the SEC. And today, we're learning that U.S. law enforcement is reportedly gearing up to announce a multi-billion-dollar settlement with Binance. So do all these developments impact the renewed momentum in crypto that you speak of? How does the fact that crypto companies here in the U.S. are facing more legal action impact the crypto industry as a whole?
Well, I guess it depends on your perspective and your time frame for thinking about that. In the short term, yes, listen, the U.S. regulatory environment through enforcement as opposed to legislation has not been good for our industry. In fact, it has shifted quite a bit of the center of action to Asia, which is a big reason CoinDesk as well will move quickly to establish operations there. I think a legislative solution would be better than one by enforcement. However, absent that, because it is beyond crypto, it is difficult to get any legislation done in our political climate. I do think if you look far enough that these enforcement actions, my view is that eventually these all settle. Right, the mainstream financial system, if you will, has had plenty of times where the agencies of the government will bring action and they will settle. And the reason I think eventually that those settlements with Kraken, with Coinbase, with Binance will be good for our system is out of settlement comes clarity, will come better rules of the road. And so I see these as all just part of a long-term process for the future of digital assets, which obviously we are we're true believers that this will be a bigger impact in our financial system and all our lives than a lot of the sideshows that happened in crypto, certainly over the last year.
So what do you think is contributing to the renewed interest in crypto? Is part of that attributable to the fact that the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried is now over? Or is it all the talk of spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs from big names in finance, including BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager?
Well, I think you teed it up perfectly, right, in your question. So yes, having the Sam Bankman-Fried chapter over is really healthy. And I'll just add, it's so interesting to me that the Sam Bankman-Fried error, it's understandably a crypto story, but in some ways it's not. And what I mean by that was, what happened there, if you really look at it, is that Sam took customer money and gave it to a risky hedge fund. And let's all admit that's happened in the United States financial system before, kind of back in the 20s, led to Glass-Steagall, things like that. So, it becomes a crypto story, but it's really a life lesson or financial history lesson. So, but I think putting that behind, it was an enormous sideshow to what's really happening. So I think your question is astute, putting that behind us. Yes, I would say there's a lot of enthusiasm. We don't know what will happen around a Bitcoin ETF. I kind of call it, if that happens, an AOL moment for the internet. So if folks remember, before AOL, it was really difficult to get on this weird new technology called the internet, and AOL was a huge on-ramp. Eventually, you didn't need AOL because it was an open internet, and I think ultimately you won't need an ETF for people to own crypto. But at this moment in the life cycle, it would be a huge catalyst for the industry. And so between the Sam Bankman-Fried story ending, the idea that there'll be a huge on-ramp moving forward, I think those are some of the things that are bringing. And I guess I'll just add one more, is that I think the next cycle will be far more soberly driven by mainstream institutions and not some of the Wild West that crypto has long had a little bit of a association with.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.